Yeah, man! Serious times down in Johannesburg. Watch the fire now. Listen! The horns! Oh, yeah. The stage was set, the lights were low for the big G20 show. Leaders coming from across the sea to talk about the world economy. Johannesburg was dressed to impress, ready to clean up the global mess. But before the first gavel could sound, a different kind of noise started going around. Now everybody talking about Cyril's big blunder. He lied in the match while we standing under. You think you're smart with that devious smile, but you're burning down the bridge for mile after mile. Oh, Cyril's big blunder, what a heavy price when you're playing politics and rolling the dice. The party is cancelled, the guests wouldn't come. Now we dancing alone to the beat of the drum. The Kinayansi politicians step up to the mic, spewing out words that nobody like. They open their mouths and the fire jump out, insulting America, scream and shout. They're telling tall tales, they're telling the lies, right there under the African skies. And the media catch it, they run with the ball, they amplify the noise until the whole thing follow. Talking about Cyril's big blunder, he light in the match while we standing under. You think you're smart with that devious smile, but you're burning down the bridge for mile after mile. Oh, Cyril's big blunder, what a heavy price when you're playing politics and rolling the dice. The party is cancelled, the guests wouldn't come. Now we dancing alone to the beat of the drum. Yeah. Watch the house of cards, they're tumbling over. Yeah, blow it down, what a mess. I look at the president sitting up high, I see that little twinkle in his eye. He cracking that smile, that devious grin, while the diplomatic ice is getting very thin. You think the eagle gonna take that heat? Nah, sir, they won't take a seat. No Uncle Sam at your Josie party. You chase them away, you're acting too hearty. It's Cyril's big blunder, he lied in the match while we standing under. You think you're smart with that devious smile, but you're burning down the bridge for mile after mile. Oh, Cyril's big blunder, what a heavy price when you're playing politics and rolling the dice. The party is cancelled, the guests wouldn't come. Now we dancing alone to the beat of the drum. Yeah, yeah, they staying away America now come to Johannesburg today. You set the house on fire, man, what kind of plan? Cyril, wipe that smile off your face. It's a disgrace. No, sir. No, sir.
Stood on the stage in the Davos snow, selling a story that wasn't quite so. A signature dried on a land theft bill, 34 days past the bottom of the hill. Too late for the court, too late for the plea, just a sleight of hand for the world to see. They thought they could hide it in the mountain air, but the clock was ticking and the truth was there.
Oops, the ain't did it again, playing a game they're never gonna win. They're spinning the wheels while the bridge is burning, but the rest of the world, yeah, the tide is turning.
Yeah, they're doubling down on a broken trend.
Oops, the ain't did it again. And then the mantra started, a familiar sound. Trump is ill-informed, they passed it around like the biggest intel net the world has known. Doesn't see the seeds that the party's sown.
Blew through the house, try to paint it all fake, but the harder they push, the more it would break. That domestic charm might play in the streets, but it falls on deaf ears when the world stage meets.
Oh, oops, the ain't did it again, playing a game they're never gonna win. They're spinning the wheels while the bridge is burning, but the rest of the world,
tired and the few Afrikaners, coloreds, and Indians too. But Pretoria panicked, trying to gum up the work, slow down the pace where the shadows lurked.
Denied the visas, raided the site, trying to keep the exodus out of the light. Then they went rogue, went way out of line, crossing a border they shouldn't define.
Sue, diplomat man, that's a red card. You're playing for keeps, but you're playing too hard. An own goal seal, a diplomatic sin. Where does the madness end and the logic begin?
Washington's watching, the hammer's gonna fall. You can't run astray and expect to stand tall. Did it again, playing a game they're never gonna win. They're spinning the wheels while the bridge is burning, but the rest of the world, yeah, the tide is turning.
Yeah, they're doubling down on a broken trend.
Oops, the ain't seen.
Yeah, the hammer's coming.
Don't you think?
They did it again.
Straight red card.
Oops, they did it again.
Yeah.
Oops, they did it again.
Yeah, the hammer's coming.
Don't you think?
They did it again.
Straight red card.
Oops, they did it again.
Yeah. Oh, 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 yeah, they did it again.
Yeah. Marvin Devine. I'm saying bye to all the lies and all the times you cried, saying that I wasn't right, yet I was right by your side. You manipulator, playing games, your friends commentators, and I don't know what you say about our private conversations, but it's got them hating. Thanks to all the rumors you be claiming. It's cool, I'm done with you, so they can throw you a celebration. You gon' hate it when you see me with somebody living better. I'm trying to tell you that me just doing me gon' have you jealous.
Good afternoon, good morning, folks. Welcome, good evening, wherever you are around the globe. It is the final Sunday edition for 2025 here on the Indaba Africa program. It's the final sound check right there. Welcome back to the program, 11:07 Eastern Standard Time. It's actually the correct time. My Chinese clock is up to date for the moment. Give it time, it will fall behind. Welcome back. Lots happening. Another brutal farm murder, and also a video from one of my viewers whose farm was attacked last night. Has not made the media. I don't have that person's permission to share this information, but I do have the video of where they tried to break in, and apparently shots were fired. Shots were fired. Yeah, so this is happening each and every day, folks. Each and every day. So let's get to it. Lots to talk about today, as usual. We also have some programming announcements here. After this program, there'll be a brief pause. You're welcome to go watch Ronaldo Khus. He'll be on. And then after that, I will have an interview with a South African family that has arrived here recently as refugees, one that will blow your mind, one that will surprise a lot of people, one that will disprove the fake media in South Africa. Now, if I'm being punked, I'll be first one to admit it, but I believe we have a very fascinating interview coming up here at 1 p.m. That's 8 o'clock in South Africa, followed by the weekly Cafe Clutch discussion about refugees and what's going on. All right, so there you go, folks. That should be interesting. This is the final Sunday edition for 2025, and quite an eventful year it has been. Nearly 100,000 new subscribers on the program. Wow, thank you so much for that. We were just shy of that. We're not going to make the 100,000 unless something magical happens in the next 3 days, which I doubt will happen. But it would be nice to see us get to that 100,000 subscribers in calendar year 2025. But we're short of that. So I sure urge all of you, the 347 you're out here, if all of you know somebody that's not subscribed to my channel, and every single one of you managed to get one person to subscribe to my channel, that would get us a little closer. Anyway. Is your viewer and the family okay? Yes, they are, Krista. Yes, they are. I believe there was inside information. They thought that the patriarch would not be present, but the patriarch was present and knew how to respond to the attack. But apparently they're fine. Yep. I saw video footage of the damage done and the attempted break-in. So yeah, it's real. This stuff is heartbreaking, folks. It's pretty crazy. All right, so let's talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly. We've got things to talk about here. My internet, I checked it before we went live. It said 40 megabytes. So let's watch 11 o'clock, sometime after 12 o'clock around this time is usually when it starts acting up, but it's not exclusive that time. Hopefully it will continue to work fine. All right, folks, Let's get to the news. We're going to talk about Mr. Schoonwinkel first because that story has finally made it into South African media 15 hours after I report on this. Now, I've done a couple videos on it. Some people think that I'm mean. I don't understand how I'm mean. I said that the story that told in the New York Times doesn't justify an asylum claim, and the actions of Mr. Schoonwinkel don't justify what he did. What he says doesn't justify what happened. Also, I correctly stated the information shared by the New York Times does not meet muster for an asylum claim nor a refugee claim. That's not mean. Now, the only thing I said one could argue is mean is that I have very little empathy for the man because I don't believe for a second that he didn't know what was going on. I believe he thought he could hoodwink the country. And there's a new sheriff in town. The United States is enforcing its immigration law. We're not simply letting people walk into the country like Joe Biden did. By the way, it's fascinating to see, Joe Biden, while he let a lot of people in this country illegally, he also kicked a lot of people out of this country. People seem to be very confused about what happens in this country when it comes to immigration. But I've been reporting this for ages, so I don't understand what the confusion is. This is a chart from New York Times. Now, the phrase is incorrect. The terminology is wrong. It says immigrants. It's immigrants and criminals who've invaded our country. They're mixing them together. But let's talk about this chart from the New York Times. So the percentage of foreign-born population in America is astronomically high at 14.8%. You cannot have a society that's cohesive when you have 15% of your population that are foreign nationals, many of whom have no interest in assimilating into your society. Now, of course, in the 19th century, we had high levels of immigration, and the country was forming. But that was a level of immigration that was restricted primarily to Europeans in an effort to keep Asians out. And, of course, Latin Americans weren't part of that at the time. The Immigration Act of 1924 restricted immigration, and it plummeted. So that by 1960, shortly before my birth, just over 4% of the population was foreign-born, which is manageable. You can tolerate that. But then old white men passed the Immigration and Nationality Act of 1965, which allowed for the flooding of our country. You see the situation here. Even as late as 2000, just about 9% of the population was foreign-born, but now it's nearly 15%. That's insane. You cannot have societal cohesion. You cannot have Ubuntu. You cannot have a prosperous country when you have so many people in your midst, many of whom have no interest in becoming a citizen or adhering to your laws and norms. That's the bottom line with that story. But that's not what the media wants you to know. They want to tell you lies. But let's get back to the Afrikaner man who sought asylum. 59-year-old Afrikaner spent nearly 3 months in U.S. detention after seeking asylum. Now, many people on my chat, several on my videos, posted comments about he didn't do anything illegal. That's not true. Let's be very clear. What Mr. Schoonwinkel did is he went to the U.S. consulate and requested a tourist visa, claiming falsely he was flying to the United States for tourism. Presented his ticket there and back to show that he was coming back to South Africa with no intention of ever coming back. Therefore, he lied on his visa application. That is called fraud. That's a crime. That's a crime. People legally in America already can apply for asylum. Those who show up at a port and claim asylum must be detained. But those are people come across land borders. People who fly to the country after securing a visa are no doubt intentionally seeking to enter this country illegitimately. Mr. Schoonwinkel did commit a crime. Asylum application is not a crime. But defrauding the country to get an asylum application is a crime. Francois Ferrer, thank you for 35 rands, saying appreciate me. Thank you. Not everyone does. Not everyone appreciate me. I got someone last night decided they wanted to lecture me about things I say, telling me that what I say are disrespectful and rude. Well, being disrespectful and rude to me, and then, being rude back to me, and then saying, well, I give up. I've tried to explain this to you. No. Also, this person wrote to me out of nowhere. I don't know who they are. Just didn't even bother to tell me who they were and just being very rude. It's amazing the cheek of people. I made a video last night about that and a few other comments, and I just didn't publish it because I'm just a chance to vent a little bit. Anyway, Mr. Schoonwinkel is wrong based on what's published in the New York Times story. If the New York Times story is wrong, then we'll find out. But based on the information that they presented, the case they're making, of course, I will allow for the fact that the New York Times has a racist narrative that they seek to advance, and that if there's any information in Mr. Schoonwinkel's case that would be helpful to explain that he was actually a victim of racial persecution, they may have omitted it because it would run contrary to the narrative that South Africa is a land of milk and honey where there's racial harmony. Cedarburg fire. That is not what I meant to push. Cedarburg fire destroys 24,000 hectares. My goodness. Approximately 24,000 hectares of land have been burnt following a blaze that broke out in the Cedarburg area in the Western Cape. Fire crews from Cape Nature and West Coast Municipality are still battling the blaze. Wow. Working around the clock to contain a number of fires in the municipal area. 3 of 6 of those divisions are actually under control, and the 4th one was still burning when this story was published several hours ago. Well, 2 hours ago, excuse me. Now 3 hours ago. Fire is still not contained in one of those areas. Colonel, we've been lost without channel. Well, thank you for that, Vitman. Not everyone agrees. Mile High says, Chris, UBU. It's your show. Exactly. Yes, mainstream media reports the stories he was a normal refugee who made use of the Trump program. Now finds himself in jail. Yep. I, though, will do asylum, and they feel sorry. Fast track him through the refugee program. Clever move that didn't work. Yep. Napoleon says, I find it fascinating all the people in the chat attacking the guy and saying he should have researched. Have you guys read the questions you ask? I'm not sure what questions you're talking about, Napoleon, but once again, the New York Times story, I don't understand why you don't understand that, Napoleon. And let's not go attacking Napoleon because he's sharing his opinion, but I'm puzzled by your opinion, Napoleon. The New York Times story, there's nothing in the story that supports him getting asylum. I will allow the New York Times created an error that's false, but I don't have any information to support that. All I have is what they report in the press and what his attorney was quoted as saying and what his friend was quoted as saying. And based on that story, the whole thing is poppycock. Poppycock. 7 months after the president announced the refugee program, this gentleman said, hey, he's welcoming Afrikaners. By the way, he welcomed those Afrikaners on May 12th. So even if we go with that date, June, July, August, September, it's still 4 months before Mr. Schoonwinkel decided to up stakes and fly to the States. 4 months later. In the 4 months, he never went once to the U.S. Embassy website. He never once read the newspapers, never once checked into the program about refugees. Clearly, this is not the program. What news report did he read that said that Donald Trump has welcomed Afrikaners? Just come to America. Just come here. Obviously, he had an intent. Napoleon, I don't understand what you're confused about, what you don't understand here. And again, folks, do not attack Napoleon. He's welcome to his opinion. But I don't understand your opinion at all. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. His sole claim in the New York Times story was that in 2014, he was attacked by 2 black men who tied him up on his farm and looted his farm. He still bears emotional scars. I have no doubt that's the case. But that doesn't warrant an asylum case, and it doesn't warrant refugee case. In neither case, if I were the adjudicating official listening to your case would be denied. That's not the basis. That's not a legitimate situation. That's not racial persecution. That's not political persecution. That's not persecution based on sexual orientation. That's not racial or persecution based on a member of a specific group. That there's nothing there. There's no there to it. As I said, there may be more to it. You were blocked from a story because you said that a guy did not apply for status but lied about his visa. He did lie about his visa. I don't understand the people that are commenting on my video saying, well, he didn't commit any crime. He did commit a crime. Visa fraud. Visa fraud. He went to the consulate, was interviewed for a visa, applied for a visa, paid the $180 or $200, whatever we charge on visas. It's outrageous. Paid that, had a return ticket saying he was coming back south with no intention to come back. It's lied. At a minimum, the gentleman is a liar. At a bare minimum, he's a liar. And for people saying that, well, you don't understand. You don't understand. It's not germane what I understand. He broke the law. And he's detained as the law requires until his case is reviewed. It's as simple as that. I don't understand what all the confusion is. He arrived as a tourist and applied for asylum, which is not what he's supposed to be doing. If you ask Grok for answers to your life, you need to really take a serious self-evaluation. Biased, bigoted, AI generated by biased, bigoted humans is not the answer. You need to evaluate things for yourself, folks. Michael hopes I had a good Christmas. It was okay. Thank you. Another South African farm attack. Yeah, I'm going to get the farm attack here shortly. And Gary knows a UK citizen that got kicked out of the US because he lied to get in. Yeah, it's simple, exactly. Applying for asylum after arriving at a tourist visa is not a crime. Why base your analysis in New York Times? You say clearly. Why based on that? Because it's available information. It's the available information. The available information is that he applied for a visa. He came here. His friend told him to come over and apply for asylum. So he lied. That's my basis. I mean, Virtual West Grape, I don't understand your point. He committed a crime. He defrauded the U.S. He defrauded America. He defrauded Americans and the U.S. immigration system. In order to get that visa, he had to have a return ticket. I know how this works. I worked with our consular services throughout Africa. You're not going to get a ticket to come over here. I mean, you're not going to get a visa to come over here unless you have a return ticket. Or you have the global entry system, something like that, which he didn't have. He's not going to get it. I don't understand why that's so hard to comprehend. Applying for asylum after arriving tourist visa is not a crime, though. Oh, but it is when that was your intent all along. If you come to America on a tourist visa, and while you're here, your government is overthrown, and it's unsafe for you to return, then you can apply for asylum. But if your intent is to come and apply for asylum, then you're a fraud. You're a fraud. It's as simple as that. Why is that hard for people to understand? Why are you defending fraud? Why do you think it's right for people to slip into our country fraudulently? They're not welcome here, whether they're white, black, or brown. I don't give two flying shakes of a dog's tail. They have no business being here if they're frauds. 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 Now, if a South African H-2A visa is here and they are targeted back in South Africa, or the government announces that they're going to arrest them because they said something on social media, that would be a person who would have a legitimate basis for making an asylum claim, but not a person whose intention is to go lie to an immigration officer, get a visa fraudulently, fly to America, and then apply for asylum. That's fraud. Why is that complicated? It's not. And don't tell me it's not a crime. It is a crime. It's a crime. The large language module's output is as good as the input. What in the world are you talking about, Sean? Quinn says, I don't even know what to think my reason for leaving South is anymore. Seems like a lot of flip-flopping going around and gets us over. There's no flip-flopping. Y'all need to simply listen to what I've stated all along. I have stated from very outset that crime is not the basis. I don't care what crime has happened to you. It's not a basis for coming to America. Who gave you that impression that it was? What makes white people more special than black people because they've been victims of crime? Nothing. You're no better or worse. You're just another human being. If, however, you were attacked because you're white or because you're colored or because you're Indian, then you have a basis for it. But simply stating I was attacked by a black man, I was carjacked by a black man, 80% of the people in South Africa are black. Odds are it's going to happen that way. Guys, this is not complicated. I don't know why anyone's confused. You shouldn't be confused. You are confusing yourself. Please listen to the words that I say, not what you want to hear. I've been saying this a very long time. Oh, okay, Sean, you're talking about Grok. Okay, sorry. I didn't understand where you're going with that. Yes, you're correct, Chris. It is a crime. I also suspect that we're going to start seeing desperation. It's going to get more intense as we go down this road and the news starts to tighten. Well, Miki's, I don't disagree with you, but it doesn't justify what the gentleman did. If he's that desperate, go to Namibia. Hang out there for 3 months or 6 months, whatever you're allowed to do. Then go to Botswana for as long as you're allowed to hang out. Then go to Zimbabwe, whatever. Do something. Remember, we are persecuted due to racist laws. Thank you very much, Tom Hawk. That's the argument, the only argument you need to make. I've told people that. I was denied a tender. Here's all the paperwork. 19 times denied a tender because I don't give my equity up to a black person. That's racist persecution. My daughter was denied a bursary to go to UCT despite getting 95% on her matric. Yet students who got 43% who are black got in the same year. That is racial persecution. Not you were attacked, not that you were robbed, not that you were carjacked. That's not racial. Why is this hard for people to understand? You need to get yourself out of your box. Just because you're white or brown or black doesn't mean you're being persecuted for being white, brown, or black. But there are real instances of it. Talk about the real instances of it. Otherwise, you're not going anywhere. Yeah, I probably employed the logic of the 163 Palestinians that arrived. Exactly. He obtained the tourist visa under false pretenses. All countries have it. Yep. And are they? Who's moving to Mossel Bay? Exactly, Varushka. I said political persecution. The raid on Woodmead has now proven political persecution of South Africans. Yep. You're welcome, Tomahawk. There you go, work people. 145 race-based laws and affirmative action just show how it's impacted you, and you're good to go. You're good to go. I don't know why anyone's confused about this. It shouldn't be confusing. Virtual Western Cape says, I'm dropping and said I don't want to fight. It's fine, Virtual Western Cape. We're not fighting. I'm just saying that you're not understanding the situation. All right, another farmer, folks, and this time it's another black farmer. Murder of African farming head, a great loss to agricultural sector. KwaZulu-Natal Farming Association chairperson Mbongeni Sikakanye was shot and killed at his home in Howick on Friday. A house robbery. Suspects fled with his car. And SABC interviewed his two daughters. Wow, heartless, man. They shot him twice, forced him inside the house. Police in Hilton have opened a case of murder and house robbery for investigation. Wow. The KwaZulu-Natal African Farming Association head was murdered. Yet another farm murder. This is heartbreaking. When will the government begin to pay attention to this? For years, I've talked about rural insecurity and the threat to South Africans in rural areas. I was attacked by right-wingers calling me naive and that I'm wrong because I'm not promoting a white genocide when I'm talking about rural insecurity, which is what I've called it all along. I was attacked by leftists and black supremacists because I never talk about black people murdered, which is, of course, a lie. I talk about black people and Indians and coloreds and whites who are murdered in rural because rural farming matters to me. Having been a farmer, I care about the farming community, and I talk about it endlessly. It is the media who occasionally use a sensational case of a white South African murder on a farm to tell a false narrative about a white genocide that they generated, just like Bell Pottinger's white monopoly capital bullshit. They do that. And then they beat people over the head with it saying, oh, AfriForum and everyone else is saying this stuff when they're the ones creating it. I have been talking about rural insecurity on my program for 6 years. I've been consistent, and I've reported on Sifatso Pule's murder. I've reported on the black cattle farmer in the Free State. I've reported on the Indian woman who was 4 months pregnant and her throat slit in the Ayub farm in Veenen. I've reported on Edward Neumeister and Brendan Horner and a sad host of other list of sad, tragic, brutal tortures and murders in South Africa. Consistently reported on it, regardless of the race of the person involved. Yet, right-wingers and left-wingers constantly lie about this story. South Africans in rural South Africa are in jeopardy. Your life is on, well, it's on the cards every single day, every single night. And one of my viewers who sent me a video today showing me the consequences of a farm attack. Fortunately, no one was killed in this attack, but still frightening nonetheless that people can break into your homes and do this. And of course, they would murder them had they gotten in the house. This is ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. When will the government of South Africa begin to take this seriously? And it's nice to see the African Farming Association of South Africa, AFSA, finally give a crap about farm murders. Now, they may have talked about it before, but they didn't get much attention talking about it before. And now they're talking about it. Why? Because a black farmer's been murdered. Hardly the first. We've heard endlessly from black supremacists about how mostly black people are killed on farms, but the media never reported. I've only come across a handful of stories about black farmers being murdered over the past 6 years because the media don't cover it. This time they cover it. And this time the African Farming Association cares because one of their people, one of their senior people was the one who was murdered. Will this get the attention of the African National Congress or John Steenhuisen? I doubt it. I doubt it. Those people don't give two flips about rural farmers. They don't. Yeah, including the agriculture minister. If he cared about rural farmers, he would not have ignored the foot and mouth disease outbreak that began in December of 2024. And he would have given an interview when I asked him in April and in May to come on the program. But no, doesn't care. Too busy dancing the night away in Vietnam. Well, can we just drop the pretense, folks? Can we drop the pretense? I mean, let's stop pretending, okay? Can we agree to stop pretending? Everybody with me on this one? Can we just stop pretending that the South African government wants a relationship with Washington, D.C.? They don't. Can we stop pretending that the South African government is negotiating to lower the tariffs? They're not. Country after country have negotiated their tariffs down, allowed U.S. products and services into their economies, and got their tariff rates greatly reduced. But not South Africa. Can we stop pretending that South Africa is neutral? South Africa is not neutral. South Africa's government is anti-democracy. South Africa's government is pro-anti-freedom. South Africa's government is pro-censorship. South Africa's government is pro-anti-Christian. South Africa's government is pro-anti-white. South Africa's government is pro-anti-capitalism, even though most of their money comes from capitalism. Can we stop pretending that the South African government wants a good relationship with the U.S.? Let's just stop pretending, because they don't. Do you need any more proof? Once again, Operation Mosi 3, this time with a rogue state sponsor of terrorism sending its naval forces to the Horn of Africa, or to the southern Cape of Africa, past the Horn of Africa to southern Cape of Africa. Iran participating in South Africa's bogus exercise in which they can only put one frigate in the water. One frigate. 3 ships bought 2 decades ago from the Germans, delivered less than 2 decades ago, and only one can get to sea. Can we stop pretending this is the same country that refused to condemn Russia for its invasion of Ukraine? Iran joins BRICS naval exercise in Cape Town. Iran's 103rd Fleet will dock in Cape Town for exercise Mosi 3, marking the first time the country has joined the annual BRICS naval exercise, previously limited to Russia and China. Critics argue the move undermines South Africa's non-alignment stance, with DA defense spokesman Chris Wyatt warning that hosting sanctioned military forces cannot be sold as impartiality. Of course it can. Of course it can. And they've gotten away with it 2 years in a row. This is the 3rd year. Now they're inviting Iran in. Can we stop pretending that they care? Do I have an opinion on what the backlash will be on the raid that took place 16th? It's going to accelerate the program. You wait till January. It's going to accelerate things. You watch. When you start seeing the numbers of people arriving in January, you're going to see a huge acceleration. It will likely lead to punishment of some South African officials if any action is taken. Well, South Africa, which can't produce driver's license because it has a single German manufactured machine for an entire country of 63 million people, when there is a driver's license facility that issues driver's license less than 15 kilometers from my house that has 25 licensing machines in one location at a commercial former mall, shopping strip mall, one location, run by a private vendor, 25 machines within 15 kilometers of my house in the state of Pennsylvania. You have one for a country of 63 million people. And as a consequence of their inability to maintain this one machine, the South African government now is extending your driver's license to 8 years, but only when you get a new one. Department of Transport said that driver's license card validity periods will be extended to 8 years, but that changes not until it's implemented. The country's driver's license remained valid for only 5 years. We've just concluded, although it took a bit of time, the issue around extending validity period of the driver's license from 5 to 8 years. Our analysis and assessment of South Africans do favor a longer period. They don't want to come back to us every 5 years, so we definitely will be moving to 8 years. So it's not about road safety. It's not about licensing of people. It's not about revenue. 3 reasons why you would have driver's license. It's about what people want. Really? No, it's because you can't manufacture the damn things. Ridiculous. Why not a lifetime, Lynn? Ours are only good for 4 years because people's vision changes, people's physical abilities change, people age, plus people need to be checked on, make sure they don't get any trouble from other states. The ANC is bleeding support, according to the story in the city press. 63% of by-elections they've lost to the DA and the PA. Now, that's surprising to hear the DA has done well. Shocked to hear that. I don't really believe it. ANC has lost support in 63% of the 182 by-elections since the general election defeat. Coalition partners DA and Patriot Alliance significantly outperformed the DA with 60% and 80% improvements. Rural decline spreads beyond urban areas, while MK Party shows sustained growth nationwide. ANC has lost support in these by-elections. President Ramaphosa's party has lost support in 63% of the 182 by-elections it has contested since the general election on May 29th of 2024, in which the support plummeted by 17 points to just 40%. And who told you that was going to happen in November 2021? I did. The ANC performed worse in 115 of the by-elections and only improved in 60. The party performed the same as in the previous elections in 7 by-elections. Since November 26, ANC has only performed better in 1 of 12 by-elections. That was in Ward 14 in Mpumalanga's Mkondo local municipality. ANC's poor performance by-elections lends credibility to a poll by the Social Research Foundation last month that put party support at 37%. With the DA only 5 percentage points behind. I find that hard to believe. 5 percentage points behind. Not surprised to see Gate McKenzie. Last year's general election, the PA support grew by 4,000%, making it the 6th largest party in South Africa. Still a minor party. Yes, you apply for your renewal in 2021, you're still waiting for your card. Exactly. That's ridiculous, Renee. Outrage as young children are seen on video drinking alcohol around adults. Eastern Cape Social Development launches an investigation. Shock and outrage have erupted after disturbing videos surfaced on social media showing young children openly consuming alcohol in the presence of adults, exposing what authorities have described as a serious failure to protect some of society's most vulnerable members. Eastern Cape Department of Social Development is investigating the incident in which children believed to be aged 6 to 12 can be seen freely drinking alcohol while elderly people look on. And that's why these people shouldn't be parents. Should not be parents. Fury erupts over the Kiftnis at Kirstenbosch. Oh, no. A massive turnout of protesters, bumhurt pro-Islamic supremacy crowd showed up at Kirstenbosch. Were they successful in stopping the audience? Did their protests stop the Kiftnis from performing? Well, let's take a look at the crowd, folks. Let's see how well it went for that protest at Kirstenbosch. Let's see. Here we go. Let's take a look. Apparently nobody showed up. Oh, but wait. It looks pretty full to me. Looks like the Kiftnis had quite a big crowd listening to his boring cat videos. Meow, 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 meow. Get a live HD video? Really? Well, then this was a joke. This was a joke. So he didn't perform at Kirstenbosch. Then the Truth Report is lying to me. Yeah. Meow, 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 meow. Apparently people like that stuff. Huge internal fight rocks the DA. What? Not again. Well, Willie Ocamp has filed a public prosecutor complaint against his predecessor, Dion George, alleging state resource abuse and fake whistleblower report. Investigation launched before Ocamp's appointment by Shelton Molensa, who asked staff to probe Ocamp's supposed illegal lion farming involvement. Wow. Wow. The DA is just falling apart, looks like. Just falling apart. Why is the media so focused on this? Because it's pro-Islam. That's why. They're anti-Semitic Jew haters. That's who the media are. And that's why they're focused on this story. A child and 2 women die after another building collapse, this time in Doornkop, excuse me. A double-story building collapsed in the early hours of Sunday, claiming 3 lives. EMS staff received an alert at 3 a.m. 6 people were inside the building at the time collapse. 3 were trapped beneath rubble. All were extricated, and all were taken to Chris Hani Hospital. A child and 2 women succumbed to their injuries. Well, poorly constructed buildings. It seems to be a trend in South Africa, a serious trend. Napoleon says, I couldn't care less about the Kiftnis. Not long ago, he was attacking Afrikaners, making fun of Afrikaners. Yes, he was. And he's a leftist. So them calling him a right-winger is comical. That's why we're reporting on it. Internet problems in South Africa, folks. Not just me having internet problems, but South Africans. There's an accidental border gateway route leak on the network of major undersea cable. The outage tracking website Down Detector showed a surge in reports of connection issues across several internet service providers on Boxing Day at about 9 p.m. Among the affected service providers and fiber infrastructure companies were AfriHost, Atomic Access, Cool Ideas, Vox, Vodacom, Vumatel, OpenServe, and Frogfoot. Many people reported high packet loss. So there was major issues with this. But that problem apparently has been resolved. Well, the Daily Maverick has decided that John Steenhuisen deserves Dirtbag of the Year award. Dirtbag of the Year? What did John Steenhuisen do? Did he not pay for his takeaways? Did he misuse his DA credit card? Did he run up an unsustainable debt? Did he fail to address foot and mouth disease? Did he dance badly in Vietnam? Why is he a dirtbag? Well, apparently he's a dirtbag because of the, the lion thing. That's why they're upset. The ministers earned the award by fusing poor timing, questionable priorities, and international embarrassment into a single administrative act. So he's the dirtbag of the year for the Daily Maverick. Some awards are earned slowly through years of dedication, quiet persistence. Others are clinched in a single inspired moment of political theater. This year's dirtbag of the year, for whom you overwhelmingly voted, falls firmly into the latter category. The Minister of Agriculture and DA leader achieved something remarkable, firing South Africa's environment minister while he was abroad representing the country at a COP30 on climate change in Brazil, then replacing with a figure widely seen as friendly to captive breeding, hunting rangers, and commodification of wild animals. If irony were a greenhouse gas, this would have pushed well past 1.5 degrees. So they're upset because he fired Deion George. That's why he's Dirtbag of the Year. You can find other reasons to call John Steenhuisen the Dirtbag of the Year. Yes, poor cement quality and steel, no control. Yeah, and taking shortcuts and no oversight from officials who are supposed to be inspecting building sites. Dwayne Vermeulen and other Springbok assistant coaches head up to save the Bulls. It's not going to work. Jerry Flannery, Dwayne Vermeulen, Felix Jones, and Andy Edwards have been seconded to the Bulls in an advisory capacity. Well, that is not going to right the ship. The players need to start performing on the pitch. That will right the ship. The United Kingdom has secured a migrant return deal with Angola, Namibia, and the DRC. Angola and Namibia have agreed to accept the return of illegal immigrants and criminals after British government threatened visa penalties for the countries refusing to cooperate. The DRC has been stripped of fast-track visa services and preferential treatment for VIPs and decision-makers. Wow. After failing to meet Britain's requirements to improve cooperation. Home Secretary Shahbana Mahmood said Britain would escalate measures. Well, I'm sorry. I thought Donald Trump was the bad guy. But look at this. Europe is tightening its immigration. But Trump is the bad guy. Well, the haircut's like 3 weeks ago, Debbie. Guinea votes in its first poll since 2021, coup. And the military leader, of course, is going to win. Mamadi Doumbouya may win amid accusation restrictions on the media and opposition parties. Guinea is holding a presidential election in which incumbent military leader General Mamadi Doumbouya, who took power in a coup, is widely anticipated to secure victory. Some 6.7 million registered voters go to the polls, which opened at 7 a.m. Greenwich Mean Time on Sunday and closes at 1800 today, which is now passed. So the polls are closed in Guinea. Who will win? Well, the Central African Republic is also going to the polls, and Russia ally Touadera seeking a third term. Central African Republic President Faustin Archange Touadera is seeking a third term as a chronically unstable country holds national elections, touting security gains made with the help of Russian mercenaries. The 68-year-old mathematician oversaw a constitutional referendum in 2023 that scrapped the presidential term limit. Oh, how convenient that is. How convenient that he just got rid of the term limit so he can stay forever. So now we have a couple stories that are coming up in the next few stories to talk about how the media are using the generosity of Americans to attack the Trump administration, attack America, because other people and other international organizations are not taking responsibility for the plight of those suffering around the world. So it's all our fault. Here's the first one that we're going to talk about. The wondrous short-lived dream of the MVP-1 toilet, the shared global vision to lift humanity and end poverty, is fractured. The fate of a U.S.-sponsored toilet shows the fallout. The centerpiece of the A project was a toilet known as the minimal value product, the MVP-1. It did the things any adequate toilet should do, like contain waste, limit odors, and prevent flies. When it became available last year in this crowded port city of Tomasina, Madagascar, those capabilities made the American-sponsored toilet nothing less than an instant phenomenon. Hundreds of these toilets were sold in their first few months. Jean-Christian Tahassi was one of 14 people hired to sell the toilet door-to-door, so he believed in a model that carried invoices with him even after his shift ended and would pitch strangers while having beers at the bar. Encouraged by their results, international aid organizations leading the project planned to expand other cities and roll out other toilet models. It seemed a real chance to spur sanitation revolution in the world's fifth poorest country. A true innovation, said Tahassi, who earned the nickname Mr. Toilet. For more than a decade, 193 nations agreed that poverty should end. They set targets, UN Sustainable Development Goals, that provide a blueprint for progress for humankind, included a call for universal access to adequate sanitation by 2030. Nations pursued those goals unevenly, but with unanimous support up until the precise point that 489 MVPs were sold in Tomasina, Madagascar. But that's when the Trump administration halted work on the U.S. Agency for National Development, taking a series of steps in January and February to terminate funding for projects across the world. In March, the United States became the first nation to break ranks with the Sustainable Development Goals. So where's the UN? Where's the African Union? Where's the European Union? Where are the BRICS countries? Where are all these organizations helping people with toilets in Madagascar? Why is it my job to pay for their toilets? How Cameroon fought to save its malaria program after the U.S. cut critical funding. Why are we providing funding for malaria in Cameroon? When Trump administration slashed foreign aid, it gutted a program that had reduced malaria deaths worldwide. In northern Cameroon, health workers tried to protect children one last rainy season. Abdulaziz Adamu carried his son Mamadou urgently through a crowded hospital. The child did not stir. A wisp of the 3-year-old. Mamadou was so sick he barely flinched when a nurse pricked his finger and squeezed out a drop of blood from a malaria test. His mother, Nafisa, looked on, her long blue veil fluttering as she shifted nervously. The day before, he was vomiting and soaked in the sweat of a fever. In the night, convulsions pulled his small limbs rigid. At first light, his parents climbed the family motorcycle and drove him 20 miles on pitted dirt tracks to a hospital in the town of Maru in northern Cameroon. The malaria test was positive. With minutes, a health aide gave him an injection of artesunate, a World Health Organization recommended first-line treatment for the disease. Over the next 24 hours, he was given 2 more injections and became alert enough to express his displeasure. Life-saving drug was provided by the United States through a program that has cut malaria death rates dramatically here and across Africa. In February, the Trump administration shut down much of that program, saying most foreign aid was wasted. The supply of arsenate dwindled. By the time he got it, a few weeks ago, it had become nearly as precious as gold in northern Cameroon. Why is the government of Cameroon not buying the Chinese anti-malarial? Whoa! Modified intel. You received your email. Thank you. I'll be in touch shortly. It's been a silly season, wanting to get the other side of it. Merry Christmas, everyone. At May 2026, you best of all. Thank you once again for everything. You're very welcome. Thank you, Modified Intel, for that. Wow. I wish we'd get 1,900 more subscribers today. That'd be cool. But thank you for the 2,000 Rand Super Chat, man. That's awesome. I forgot about Super Chats in the stream. When your country thinks the toilet's a great invention, then you must know that you're third world crap balls, says Psycho Billy. Yeah. So why is it our fault? Why isn't Cameroon providing this stuff? Why aren't people buying it on their own? I know that in Liberia, that's the pills that the Chinese produce to fight malaria cost all of about $5 to save someone's life. I saw it happen. They're dirt cheap knockoffs by the Indians producing this stuff. Somali pirates are staging a comeback without anybody even noticing it. Well, they've got Houthi support. Somali pirates are again striking commercial shipping in the Indian Ocean, but this time they're not operating alone. U.S. regional security officials warn that pirate gangs are coordinating with Iranian-backed Houthi militants and terrorist groups operating in the Horn of Africa. Wow. Yeah, modified intel. Clouds are definitely gathering with that 2,000 Rand super chat, man. What happened to Helena? Sorry. Oh. Your husband died there. Deadly protests taking place in Damascus, folks. Clashes erupt as hundreds demonstrate across the country. Several people have been killed, including a security officer, and dozens wounded during demonstrations in Latakia, Tartus, and Jabaleh. And in Australia, former Prime Minister rejects gun control crackdown after the Bondi Beach terror attack, calls for tougher migration. It's not so much the guns, it's the person who pulled the trigger, said former Australian Prime Minister Tony Abbott. Former Prime Minister Tony Abbott says moves to tighten gun control and hate speech laws will do little to prevent a future terror attack, also calling for stronger immigration procedures. And Tony Abbott is 100% correct. 100% correct. And Furry Toes just gave 10 memberships. Thank you for that, Furry Toes. Well, Myanmar's junta is seeking legitimacy in a widely criticized elections. Apparently, the Trump administration is embracing, along with China and Russia. The military juntas whose 2021 coup plagued Myanmar into civil war, plunged them. They control less than half the country. Resistance groups have bombed polling stations to stop people from voting. It's a theater of the absurd performed at gunpoint, Tom Andrews, UN Special Rapporteur on the situation, said the election. Andrews, former U.S. congressman from Maine, urged other governments not to recognize the vote, which he called a sham. Of course, the Biden administration never even publicly announced or recognized that this coup took place just a week after Biden became president. Thank you, Jean Kutza, for your membership for 8 months. China expands its nuclear warhead manufacturing capacity. This is a rogue nation out of control. Satellite images suggest China is growing the sites where it makes warheads, also preparing to retaliate faster, signs of its nuclear ambitions. China is rapidly overhauling a network of secret facilities used to manufacture warhead components as it expands its nuclear stockpile faster than any other country. These changes take place as Beijing intensifies efforts to be able to retaliate more quickly against an attack. Levels of changes that we're seeing since around 2019 to today are probably more extensive than anything we've ever seen. Yep. China's rapid expansion of weapons production facilities continues, even as the Pentagon report last week shows nuclear warhead production has slowed since 2024, with totals in the low 600s. Well, China. Japanese cabinet has approved a record defense budget, and they're betting on drones for coastal defense. Yaku Joubert is back with the 40 Rand. Thank you so much for that, Yaku. Yaku is the gentleman who we told people to go check out his music channel last night, especially his topic channel. Raised a little bit of money for his performing. He's got some great albums on there. If one of my mods could put a link to it so he can go get some more subscribers, that'd be great. Japan's cabinet on Friday signed off on the largest defense budget in the country's history, with a drone-based coastal defense system and arsenal of long-range strike munitions front and center. The budget is $58 billion for fiscal 26, which starts on April 1st. Well above last year's $55.5 billion. Prime Minister Takachi leads a minority government, and they say her budget likely will pass the diet, given rising regional tensions, undeclared arms race. The most striking item in the budget, $640 million earmarked for a brand new system, synchronized, hybrid, integrated, enhanced littoral defense, or SHIELD, layered network of unmanned systems. SHIELD, drones to protect Japan's shore. A magnitude 6.6 earthquake has struck off the coast of Taiwan. You can see where the quake epicenter and the damage extent available data. A strong 6.6 magnitude earthquake struck in the Philippine Sea on Saturday, according to the United States Geological Survey. The trembler happened at 11:05 p.m. Taiwan time, 19 miles southeast of Yilan. U.S. Geologic Survey data earlier reported the magnitude was 6.7. Well, they oftentimes lower their estimate after the fact. Not a surprise. Italy has arrested 9 for allegedly using charities to fund Hamas terrorists. Police say more than 70% of donations raised from Palestinians were diverted to Hamas terror group. Of course they were. Italian authorities arrested 9 people on suspicion of financing Hamas through a network of charities operating in Italy. Prosecutors and police said on December 27th an investigation that uncovered what officials described as a large-scale diversion of donations meant to help Palestinians, but that instead went to flow terrorists. According to a statement from Italy's national police, more than 71% of the funds collected by the charities were allegedly diverted to Hamas or organizations affiliated with it. Authorities seized assets worth 8 million euros and said the suspects that financed Hamas-linked activities totaled 7 million euros. Surprise, surprise. Not even remotely surprised, folks. Hate Aid will sich nicht einschüchtern lassen. Die Geschäftsführerinnen der deutschen Organisation Hate Aid finden nach einer Einreisesperren aus den USA gegen sie klare Worte. Wir lassen uns nicht mundtot machen. Good for you. Größer könnte der Dissens kaum sein, während das amerikanische Außenministerium die beiden Geschäftsführerinnen der deutschen Beratungsstelle Hate Aid, Anna-Lena von Hodenberg und Josephine Ballon, als führende Akteure des weltweiten Zensurindustriekomplexes sieht und sie deshalb mit einer Einreisesperre belegte, hatte Bundespräsident Frank-Walter Steinmeier von Hodenberg im Oktober stellvertretend für ihre Organisation mit dem Bundesverdienstkreuz ausgezeichnet. And of course, these hateful people that are part of the industrial censorship complex have been banned from coming to America. But the German president gave one of them an award, a high German honor, for their censorship recently. Brigitte Bardot, the bombshell, has passed away at the age of 91. And God created a woman, made her world-famous sex symbol in the 50s. She later gave up acting to devote her life to animal welfare. I never thought Brigitte Bardot was all that attractive. People thought she was all that. But she's passed away at the age of 91. Miss Bardot was 23 when And God Created a Woman, a box office flop in France, opened in the United States next year and made her an international star. Her film persona was distinctive compared with other movie sex symbols of the time, not only for her ripe youthfulness, but also for unapologetic carnal appetite. Her director was her husband, Roger Vadim, and although they soon divorced, he continued to shape her public image, directing her in 4 more movies over the next 2 decades. Few of Miss Bardot's movies were serious cinematic undertakings, and she later told a French newspaper that she considered La Vérité The only good film she ever made. There she is in La Verite. At the height of her popularity, almost everything about Miss Bardot was copied. Her deliberately messy hairstyle, her heavy eye makeup, her fashion choices, which included tight knit tops, skinny pants, gingham, and flounce skirts showing off bare, sun-tanned legs. In 1969, she became the first celebrity to be used as the model for Marianne, a traditional symbol of the French Republic that adorns town halls across the country. She announced her retirement from films in 1973. She had already begun work on behalf of animal rights and welfare. It was only in 1986, a year after she's made a Chevalier of France's Legion of Honor, that she created the foundation of Brigitte Bardot, which has waged battles against wolf hunting, bullfighting, vivisection, and consumption of horse meat. In 1987, she auctioned off her jewelry and other personal belongings to ensure the foundation's financial base. She said, "I gave my beauty and my youth to men, and now I'm giving my wisdom experience, the best of me, to animals." 4 decades later, Foundation said in a statement Sunday has taken in more than 12,000 animals and worked in 70 countries. Called Miss Bardot an exceptional woman who gave everything and sacrificed everything for a world that is more respectful of animals. There she is. 1995. And more recently, in 2006, 20 years ago. Brigitte Bardot, gone at 91. Happy birthday to your wife. Volodymyr Zelensky will meet with President Trump at Mar-a-Lago, talking about ending the conflict. The 20-point peace plan proposal developed by Ukrainian U.S. negotiators covers a wide range of issues, including security guarantees. But Zelensky has acknowledged that 2 major sticking points have emerged: the fate of Donbass and control of Russian-occupied nuclear power plant. So the two are going to meet. Let's see what comes out of that. Well, Ice Hockey Canada and Hockey Canada have apologized for their rude behavior. It's traditional in hockey after a game to come to center ice and shake hands with your opponent. But after a contentious contest in this junior hockey competition, the IIHF World Junior Championship, which Canada won 7-5 over the Czech Republic, they just walked off the ice. So they've apologized for their boorish behavior. They just walked off the ice. I don't think I've ever seen that in hockey before. First time. Trump praises his crime crackdown and tariffs. President Trump touted his tariffs and crime rates as his first year back in office comes to close. 2 of the president's focuses this year have been tariffs to make the United States money and reduce crime. Crime in the United States is the lowest levels on record, which is true. Much of that is attributed to the most successful southern border operation. Also, there are more people working in the U.S. today than ever before. MAGA. He also said tariffs are creating wealth. Trade deficit has been cut by 60%, totally unheard of. 4.3% GDP growth going way up, no inflation. And we're respected again as a country. A mostly true statement by the president. Hundreds of flights have been canceled owing to the inclement weather, particularly in the Northeast and New York State. To avoid the ripple effects of real-time adjustments to what was predicted to be up to 9 inches of snow, major airlines said they preemptively canceled many flights. That's Kennedy Airport, JFK, along with LaGuardia and Newark, dealt with hundreds of flight cancellations. Forecasters have predicted that as much as 9 inches of snow would fall in the New York area Friday night and into the morning. Major airlines, fearing the worst, began to cancel hundreds of flights, but only 4 inches fell. The 3 main airports servicing the region, Kennedy, LaGuardia, and Newark Liberty, had more than 400 inbound and outbound flights canceled. But New York got just 4 inches of snow, not the 9 inches that were predicted. So people got a little bit off the mark. Immigration and Customs Enforcement has shifted their tactics to arrest criminals and deport them. The agency has moved away from focusing on arresting migrants at local jails to tracking them down in communities as Trump administration presses to increase deportations. Indeed. Result has been a huge surge in at-large arrests, with Immigration and Customs Enforcement tallying 17,500 in September and on pace to exceed that in October. Before this year, the highest number of at-large arrests came in January 2023 when the Biden administration had made more than 11,500. But the Trump administration has turned up the volume in this term. But look how many Biden arrested in his first term. A lot more than people realize. A lot more than people realize. Even though he let the country be flooded. Trump says enough with the Epstein files. No more. This is too big a distraction. President Trump rallied against releasing more documents related to the late sex offender Jeffrey Epstein Now, 1 million more pages on Epstein are found. DOJ is being forced to spend all of its time on this Democrat-inspired hoax. When do they say no more work on election fraud? The Dems are the ones who worked with Epstein, not the Republicans. Release all of their names, embarrass them, get back to helping the country. The radical left doesn't want people talking about Trump and Republican successes. Only a long ago Jeffrey Epstein, just another witch hunt. Well, Trump does have a point there. He does have a point. This is a huge distraction, and people on the far right are part of the problem. Billionaires are planning to bail on California. Billionaires planning to pack up and leave California protest over proposed ballot measures seeking to heavily tax the state's wealthiest residents. Venture capitalist Peter Thiel and Google co-founder Larry Page are among those plotting to flee. 3 companies associated with Page have filed documents for incorporation in Florida. Tech investor Shamath Palapalaita also confirmed earlier this week that he was given serious consideration relocating to Texas if the measure goes ahead. The inevitable outcome will be an exodus of the state's most talented entrepreneurs who can and will choose to build their companies in less regressive states. The threats come in response to a ballot measure proposed by the Service Employees International Union, United Healthcare Workers West Union, which was cleared for a campaign by the State Attorney General's office. The union proposes hitting Californians worth over $1 billion where it hurts the most, with a 5% tax on every dollar of their vast fortunes. If the measure gathers enough signatures, lands on the November ballot, and wins, it would affect anyone living in the West Coast as of January next year. Well, that's just days away. Is this an old story? No, this is a new story. There's Larry Page. All these billionaires are going to flee California. Not a surprise, folks. Not a surprise. Idiots. California are morons. It's going to kill the golden goose. Another pity party story, folks, for migrants. They're not migrants. They're criminals. For one migrant family, no Christmas lights in New Orleans. After the Border Patrol arrived in Louisiana, a couple and their 5 children went into hiding. That meant less food, fewer outings, and no lights on the Christmas tree. No. Yes, dinner time had just ended when there was a loud knock on the door. Joni grabbed his ID card and his documents showing he had protection from deportation. His wife, Araceli, raced the children upstairs. 6 years ago, he arrived in New Orleans and found work helping renovate the Superdome, which became a symbol of the city's fortitude after Hurricane Katrina. Now he stood inside his home with an ear to the door, and his mind raced to what he would do if someone broke through. The wife peeked through the window curtains. 2 immigration officers stood outside. The men wore masks, protective vests, and caps. A couple later recounted. One of them pounded the door 4 times. It was raining. They stood waiting for Joni and his wife to stoop for several minutes. Then they left. He relaxed, but not completely. His papers, earned after filing a complaint with the U.S. Department of Labor for wage theft, did not give him a legal status. He knew he did not entirely shield him or protect his family. We came here because at our home there was no peace. I feel like I'm reliving my life in Honduras, but here. Dude, why are you here? You're illegal. You're stealing. You have no business here. So what might America look like with zero immigration? Well, the New York Times runs another racist story. So the Trump administration's efforts to reduce the foreign-born population are being felt in hospitals, soccer leagues, and on main streets across the country, and hints of what's to come. So Lydia DePillis and Campbell Robertson say across the United States someone is missing. 1 year into President Trump's immigration crackdown, construction firms in Louisiana are scrambling to find carpenters. Yeah, because they're not licensed, legitimate, legal carpenters. They're criminal alien invaders. Hospitals in West Virginia have lost out on doctors and nurses who are planning to come from overseas. Why? If they're coming legitimate, they can still come. Why are they lost out? A neighborhood soccer league in Memphis cannot field enough teams because immigrant children have stopped showing up. They're not immigrants. They're criminal alien invaders. Immigrants have no reason not to show up. And who cares if soccer leagues fall apart? Sorry, I have no empathy for soccer. America is closing its doors to the world, sealing the border, squeezing the legal avenues of entry, and sending new arrivals and longtime residents to the exits. Of course, that's a complete lie. Because watch what they say a little bit later on. Shrinking the foreign-born population won't happen overnight. Oxford Economics estimates net immigration is still running at 450,000 people per year. Despite all the programs Trump is running, 450,000 people per year are coming to this country. That would be about 3% of South Africa's population. Every year coming to the country. Legally and illegally. Tyler Perry is facing a lawsuit for sexual assault by Boo. Wow, an actor from his Medea Halloween. $77 million. Tyler Perry was sued for sexual assault by an actor who appeared in Boo. marking his second lawsuit in recent months accusing filmmaker and studio mogul of leveraging his power in Hollywood to make sexual advances. Mario Rodriguez filed the lawsuit, alleging Perry subjected him to repeated unwanted sexual advances over several years, including sexual battery and assault at Perry's Los Angeles home. He wants $77 million. That's crazy, folks. That's a lot of money. It's a lot of money for being harassed. And that's the news for today, folks. Thank you for tuning into the news. Be sure to hit the like button. What's fake news? Work people, what's fake news? 464 likes. Can we do a little bit better than that? We got a little bit of super chat revenue there. Landlord surprised me, invited me for lunch. Had a great swooping stories and listened to good music. Okay, really good cook. Okay. Who knew SABC News and YouTube economist Tabisa is saying we should not pretend the tariffs had a small impact on the Southern economy at 6%. Oh, really? That's amazing. Thank you for sharing that, Sean Nadir. I didn't see that. You're very welcome, Transvaal Republic. I'll have to go to SABC then and look that up then. SABC economist. Yeah, I did see that Perry from The Cure passed away. He was 65. I did see that. I have to find which video that was. None of these actually give me the impression. If someone could send me that link, it'd be great. Mother-in-law came and visited us today, says Webb. Okay. P.S. If the infamous 444 can't leave, maybe. 567 were watching earlier. Okay. Did you see that Portuguese illegal wanted to run down ICE? I saw that as well, but that's almost a daily occurrence. Yeah. Tractor Champ says Trump when Austin president. I'm saying cheers, heavy rain, thunder, lightning. Okay. All right. Take care, Manny. Sorry that you got thunder. Be careful. Ukraine cannot afford to lose to Donbass because Russians can currently take the region. I'm not sure what that statement means, Charles. Okay. What else we got here? Dan Disaster Area Network, website I mentioned on a previous chat, seems to have been discontinued. Well, that's unfortunate there, Karen. Love to hear the Colonel's opinion of Somali fraud. Just Ainer, I've talked a lot about that. I haven't done a video on it, but I've talked a lot about my live streams. It's much worse than you realize. Much worse. And it's been covered up for years. Tim Walz's political career is over. If he survives, it'd be shocking. Even in Minnesota, it'd be surprising to see him survive there. Now, that guy is overseeing the pervasive pilfering. He took a $18 billion budget surplus, which is massive, and turned it into a $6 billion deficit in 2 years, in one budget. That's how much money they gave away, and obviously to fraudsters. Tim Walz is a loser. Tim Walz is a stolen valor fraud who tried to use his National Guard status to get out of a drunk driving charge and lied about it. Said that he had an injury from combat, which he never served in. Tim Walz is the biggest, most disgusting fraud out there. The fact that he came that close to being vice president is shocking in itself. Yaku Joubert, thank you for the 40 Rand super chat. They should come and ask and see how to build pit latrines. They are experts in pit latrines, that's for sure. Lee Mother's Love is here. Welcome to see you again. And once again, Modified Intel's 2,000 Rand super chat, which really did inspire a lot of other people to super chat, but it certainly was an awesome one from Modified Intel. Thank you for that. Received your email. Thank you. I'll be in touch shortly. Okay, I'm trying to remember which email it was. I've been answering tons of emails. By the way, folks, let me state categorically right now, a lot of people have been sending me Christmas and birthday greetings. Thank you so much. I want to thank you all here. I'm talking about in WhatsApp and email. Folks, I can't answer all of them. I'm not ignoring anybody. In fact, I didn't send my Christmas greetings to people that I wanted to send greetings to because I was so busy answering other people's greetings. I felt guilty for that. Thank you for sending it. I'll read it as quickly as I can. I have a voicemail note from somebody from the 19th of December, which I haven't even had a chance to get to yet. It's just that busy. But I do thank you. I do appreciate it, and I'm very grateful for the comments. But it is a lot for one human to deal with. A computer could deal with all this stuff, but I'm not a computer. Yes, I agree with Psychobilly. When your country thinks a toilet is a great invention, then you know you live in a third world crap hole. Denise is a construction project manager, and the skills of unskilled workers are shocking. Yeah, no, Denise, yeah, I agree 100%. And it's not just that. I mean, here in America, we have masons, carpenters, electricians, plumbers, roofers, all working without certification, illegally, on job sites, building new homes. And many of these homes are poorly constructed. I have a lot of issues in my house, and I know that it was because of the shoddy oversight in fact, I couldn't even occupy the place. The township would not issue an occupancy permit for the new construction home because they didn't even finish the yard properly. They couldn't be bothered to see the yard and run a plow through and cut the swale between the two properties so the runoff water would go down to the drain. They're too lazy to do that. 87 gigs that had to be repaired when I moved in, all minor things, but I've repaired a few of them, but not all of them. They also had some very dodgy things that took place in my house. Brand new construction. But buy a home. Home ownership is the path to wealth. No, it's not. Home ownership is the path to perpetual poverty, perpetual debt. That's what it is. Why do you start eating and drink starved camel? I have no idea what you're talking about there, Troy. Has identified the wild coast and surrounds the East Coast as designated refuge areas for Muslims that are inbound. That's news to me, Shylock. I've never heard of such a thing. Where did you get your information from? Please share that. I quit producing on the farm when this clown became the Minister of Agriculture. I hear you, man. DA ministers and GNU, it's like a common business politics. If you continuously have to prove you're the boss in charge, chances are you're not good. You're not. It's time to get out, says Crypto Noob. There's no building inspectors compliance to building regulations in South Africa anymore. True. Tomahawk says DA is useless. They're going to complain that only whites attended the show. So what? I mean, do you think black people are going to hang out when it's meow 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 meow? You think black people hang out for that? I don't. Debbie says she's sick of protesters. What has Australia got to do with it? Huh? I was reading a story about Australia. There was no live protest. The Argus newspaper deleted their post. Yeah, that wasn't from the Argus. They protested during the week. They harassed Joe Emilio. I saw the video. Yeah, I'm sure it's a fake news story. That's why I asked for evidence of it. Yep. Sharing the truth, so appreciate you. Welcome, Megan Greff. My pleasure. Don't forget, folks, we have coming up in about 45 minutes another stream with a refugee family that's come over from South Africa that's really going to get your attention. It's going to be exciting. And I actually have a tangential link to this family that I don't even know. I have an ancestor that was in the same industry, founded by this person's ancestors, coming from the same area, roughly the same area of Europe, and got in the same business. And in fact, this person worked on something that my great-great-great-grandfather produced. That should be interesting. And there's this, but I thought the Crazy Karens love the meow meow music. They do. I mean, look, the Kivnis is huge, man. He's popular. He did some funny stuff back in the day, but the cat stuff, I stopped listening. Emergency operation, a broken hand, not white nurse, and absolutely no care. Oh my gosh, sorry to hear that, Bob. But I thought you said they put pins in her. Exactly. They harassed Joe Emilio when he was on crutches. Joe Emilio's not even a white guy, man. It's ridiculous. What's very interesting work, people? Oh, the interview. And then we have the refugee chat coming up after that. They'll probably think the white people there are crazy. Meow, meow, meow. Exactly. Yes, they did harass Joe Emilio. I saw that. Yep, I saw that. Yep, they're just evil people. They're like, you can't film us. He's in public. They're in a public space. And then they stick a phone in his face and record him. What's your name? I would have been a Joe Emilio. I'm like, what's your name? Show me your identification. I have no obligation to show you mine. Web become one says, yeah. Oh, we become one says, yeah. I did not listen to Kivins for a long time, and yeah, it's still boring. Oh, yeah, so I figured the interview context. Yeah. So, yeah, the Kifnis is a leftist, and people on the right are embracing him. Senor Jose Emilia is our favorite Mexicana. Yeah, he's a special Yankee colored. That's exactly what Joe is. Now wait, Joe had the hip replacement. You all tell me you get hip replacements, and everyone's telling me it's only a couple days. But Joe has had his hip replacement like 2 weeks ago. He's still on crutches. Something ain't right there, man. Australia makes it very, very difficult for South Africans to immigrate, but they're all wrong. Oh, yeah, no, I agree, Joe. I know. I'm well aware of that. They shut the door to South Africans largely about 10, 15 years ago, but they let Chinese and all these other people flood the country. Search South African economic growth, Tabiso. Okay. I'll try that because I want to find that video because it's going to confirm what I said. South African economic growth outlook. Tabiso. Okay. There it is. Tabiso Mongane. Okay. 2 hours ago. That'll be great. Yep. That's what I said all along. It's good to see that someone tells the truth. Huh. I'm concerned Joe is going to throw out his hip parting. Yeah, I hear you, man. Waste all that energy on that, ruin that new hip. What's your name? Where do you live? I'm learning a lot on this channel. I've become more disobedient. Also, tell people none of your business. Exactly, Oma Furstoffa. It's none of your business. What's your name? None of your business. Are you law enforcement? Do you have a legal basis for asking me? Then, piss off. Yeah, I was told to say footsec is very disrespectful. So I said piss off instead. Yeah, what are you doing here? None of your business. I'm in the public. This is public space. Kirsten Boss, I paid entrance fee. I'm allowed to be here. My 2 cats climbing the bird wire on my window to catch a gecko. Oh, yeah, they gave you 2 geckos, huh? Yeah, those lizards are all over, man. They're very, very successful in Africa. By the way, my National Geographic arrived this month. I guess it's a January edition. And guess what's on the cover? Meerkats. Meerkats are on the cover, man. Pretty cool. South Africa will not distance themselves from BRICS. They will not withdraw from ICAs. They will definitely not withdraw from BE. And so the end is nigh, Vale. The end is nigh. Yeah, I know it means that, Joey, but I was chastised by someone who was very rude and wrote to me and didn't even tell me who they were and just wrote to me and said, saying that's rude and disrespectful, you shouldn't do that. And then said something else to me. I'm like, what are you talking about? Accused me of not understanding what was buying fake media about the arrested farmer. I'm like, what arrested farmer? I didn't tell me arrested farmer. You told me about the farmer in detention? Yeah, anyway. So I asked the guy if he was drinking alcohol because his comments made no sense. And he said, well, you insult me after he insulted me. That's comical. The cheek of some people. Two bobcats. Wow. I love bobcats, man. Who needs carte blanche? Well, carte blanche has more resources than I do to investigate journalism. Shoo, they will go away by themselves. Who, the bobcats? I had a pet meerkat when I was a child called Fifi. Meerkats are funny. Simple. Hey, Chris, what's going on? Tom Huck says, use the term. I was told it was rude and disrespectful and not becoming of someone with my military rank. That's what I was told. May says, Netso. A pet meerkat, that'd be funny. Oh, no, bobcats are smaller. Cougars are huge, man. Cougars are mountain lions. Yeah, there's lots of names, by the way, for cougars. They have lots of names. Catamounts, cougars, mountain lions. They have many different names for those creatures. Panthers, another term for them. Many colored folk disheartened by social media. How so, Lana? Yeah, I agree, Monster Max. Yep. But I was told it's inappropriate for me. I was laughing at what Chris Ayler's had to say. Anyway, look, you can't please everybody, so you should be making an effort. Did you guys see I got a car? I mean, some of you know this already. I got a car for Christmas. I did. I wanted a new car, and I actually got myself pretty cool. I mean, it's awesome, guys. Got myself a Land Rover. Yep. It's actually a Defender. I got a brand new Defender for Christmas. It's awesome. I'm pretty excited. I wanted a new car. My cars are old, and so I got a new car, man. So, you guys want to see my new car? I'll show it to you. Here it is. So here's my new Land Rover. Okay, there you go. There you go. I got a new Land Rover. So that's my Christmas present. Yeah, how cool is that? How cool is that? Yeah. So Hot Wheels. That's what I got for Christmas. Hey, what are you going to do? It doesn't come with a warranty. It doesn't come with a warranty. So it really is a Land Rover. Mike says, "Oh wow, I was baited." Yeah. I remember a gecko falling off a ceiling, running down my spine. Oh my goodness, that's scary. Huh? Saw an amazing documentary on meerkats. A guy lived with them, and the babies ran all over him. His camera equipment once they got used to him. Yep. White privilege Land Rover and bloody posh. With all their amazing resources, they still get most of the info wrong or just push an error. They tried me last year. I told the reporters, no way, more accurate info. Oh, that's pretty awesome, Mac. He's cool. You actually said more accurate info on my channel. That's pretty funny. No, I didn't get a Lindt advent calendar. I can't eat Lindt chocolate. It's nasty. Is that the TDI 90 short wheelbase? Those are the best. I don't know which one it is. I got a second here. It is a 90. It is a 90. Yeah, it's a Defender 90. You're right. That's the one. Turbo diesel. It's the 90. When working in Israel, a dog chased me. Imagine my surprise when I understood that word. That's funny. Most cougars hunt in packs at local watering holes with plenty of young bucks. I'm unaware of that. Oh, you're talking about women. Okay. You got nothing, says Alan. Okay. It's a Hilux. Oh, bobcats and mountain lions are very different. Bobcats are short with large tufts on their ears that hang out like this. They're beautiful, bobcats. Mountain lions are very different. But mountain lions have a lot of names. Bobcat. I love bobcats. Let me get a picture of bobcat. They are beautiful. Okay, let me get, so mountain lion. Cougar. Catamounts. They have a lot of names, man. So big difference between these creatures. So here is a bobcat. They always have these short little tails. So this is a bobcat. That's what my university was, the Ohio University Bobcats. That's a bobcat right there. They look like kitty cats from a distance, but they are good hunters, man. Good hunters. Here's a good image of one here. There's a bobcat. That's a bobcat on the prowl, man. See the ears? It's distinctive for bobcats. Looks like a kitty, but it's not. They're much bigger than a domestic cat. Here's one in the snow. Yep. Whereas a mountain lion is a much bigger creature. Here you go. Look at that. That's a mountain lion. Here's the size comparison. So you've got a bobcat, which is the tiny little one there, or the brown one. Brown one's a bobcat, and then the dog, and then an adult mountain lion. There's a house cat, a bobcat, a large dog, and a mountain lion. That's a nice comparison there. Here we go. This is what I was looking for. There you go. So there's a chart showing the size comparison. There's a domestic house cat, and then a bobcat, which is larger than a dog, and a mountain lion. Afternoon nap turned into a 3-hour nap. Wow. Okay, Pikachu, you're tired. Some folks just know enough to be a risk to ask themselves. That's true. Two things you're not getting close enough to see the ears. You can see from space the Great Wall of China and the panel gaps on a Defender 90. Looks like a house cat that went to the gym. Oh my goodness. Yeah, it's like the Rui cat. Yeah. Yeah, they're called bobcats because their tails are bobbed. That's correct. That's because their tails are short, little bobtails. Someone put a post on the chat group for a strange-looking cat, possibly lost. Turned out to be a genet. Oh my goodness. Finding enough up the north side of Kids, and I saw a herder carrying a large cat. Assuming he dropped. Okay. Renee Cooney says he did commit a crime. You must be talking about Mr. Schoonwinkel. That was a long time ago. I think you're adding chat on a live stream and you're like an hour and a half behind. Yeah, the service on that Defender won't cost me much. You've been trying to contact me regarding my extended warranty. Okay, thanks for that. I appreciate that. That's funny. That's funny. Anyway. So how are we doing here, folks? We was hoping to get to 100,000. Whoops. Yeah, my video's blocked in some last night. I got, Buffalo Stance. Yeah, I knew this was coming. Okay, can't be monetized, can't be monetized. Okay, why can't I just erase the song? Why won't it just let me erase these things? Last night's stream, I got 3 things. I can't. It won't let me erase them. No, I can't dispute us when I erase it. Why won't it let me erase? Oh, well. I had Buffalo Stance, Neon Moon, and the song from Yaku, I'm blocked and I can't delete it. So my video from last night gets blocked because the song that Yaku, I played, Yaku Joubert, it got blocked. Yep, they just did that 13 minutes ago, and I can't remove it, so, oh well. Hey, Chaos Jug, what's going on? I have a TD5 turbocharger. Wow, that's pretty cool. All right. Lynx. Yeah, Lynx is a beautiful cat, too. Yeah, I like Lynx. They're beautiful. Lynx. I used to, every year used to have a fantasy football team I call the Lynx every year. It looks a lot like a bobcat from a distance. I mean, aren't they the same thing? They're not. There's a Lynx. Amazing creatures. Cats are pretty wild. They're almost nature's perfect creation, cats. Yep. Anyway. All right. So we're going to wrap it up here, folks. I saw something over a coup being planned to remove Ramposa. No, I haven't seen that. Okay. Oops. Now they're getting jumpy again. Ah, dang it. What is going on here? Mother's turbocharger. Yep, my internet's acting up again. Bastards. All right, it's time to wrap it up here, folks. Be sure to hit the like button if you haven't done it. Thanks for the super chats, and hopefully we'll see some of you on the interview with the refugees. Okay? Thanks a lot. Appreciate it. Sorry for this, but this is annoying. Cheers, everybody. Bye-bye.